For you, we're looking at $58 billion in debt generally, about $5.5 billion of that in the offing, which we're trying to restructure generally, hoping for $3 billion from the IMF. At this point, would you say China is the big elephant in the room? Would you disagree with Dr. Ayamga, who feels we can actually go ahead with this even if China is not on board?
Okay, so I'll humbly disagree with Doc on that particular point. In finance, no amount is small, no amount is big. There is the need for us to bring everybody on board. That small person that you think might not be relevant in this particular debate might be the one that will consume everything if the rate is very high for the debt that we are talking about. And so China is very crucial in this particular debate. The geopolitics are going to play roles, but then the country as a whole will need to look at the whole debt situation. Once we are cut off from the international financial market, there is no country that developed from borrowing to pay debt. If you borrow and you are using it to pay debt, you are perpetually going to be indebted. And all the amount of money that you are making will be used in paying your debt. And if care is not taken, your creditors will take over your assets. And that is where we actually find ourselves. The monies that we borrow, what do we use them for? Do we use them for manufacturing, production, to generate employment in the economy? And once employment is generated, more tax revenues will be taken by the government to pay off these debts over time. And so we have gotten it wrong as a country, the way we borrow to do things. And we have nothing to show for some of the monies that we borrowed. If we borrow and the amount of money we use to borrow are for free things and the debt is not paying themselves, and we need to go and borrow to pay these debts that we borrow. And any time that we're going to borrow, we have to go and pay extra interest on this amount of money that we borrowed. Is not going to help us. And so the debate for me should be focused on what we can do as a country. We've gone to IMF for 17th time. This is the 17th time we've gone there. And we are going back to them for the same reasons. We have not transformed our economy. My colleague was talking about the tax revenue bills that have been passed. No country developed from taxation. No country developed from borrowing. We can only develop when we add value to the resources that we have in our country. Development depends on production, depends on manufacturing. The services that you are adding, the value that you are adding to things. And so the amount of money that we are even going for, what are the programs that we have for it? Because it's for 3 years. After 3 years, what next? So there is the need for our leaders to listen to experts.